From Craig Rolson in Europe, David Gerber in Brazil, and our editor-in-chief and publisher, Don Oshman, it's time for this week's Sunday Night Week in Review.
Good evening, or good morning, depending on where in the world you live. It's Don Oshman again, HydeNet.com. I'm editor-in-chief and publisher of HydeNet Publications. We're very glad to have you watch us again this evening. In Europe this week, our European editor, Craig Rolson, reported that prices eased again on some selections more than others, like the cow sector was really suffering. But steers were not quite as bad, but certainly not getting any stronger, not getting any more firm, as the automotive people still are buying, but they're trying to buy cheaper now. Northern China problems are still plaguing the European cow market. In addition to that, in Europe and all over the world, you've got these split prices, which are being reduced and have reduced the yield on tanners who buy a hide and expect a certain drop credit. Price of gelatin is down. All this hurts the price of hides. Not to mention the fact we're coming off historically high prices. And then there's a seasonal slowdown and the impact on leather sales, which are never very big and very voluminous at this time of year. Riots in Vietnam, which you may have heard about or read about in our reports, didn't help either. A bunch of tanneries closed, a bunch of shoe factories closed in Vietnam. Hopefully that's going to be rectified in the coming week. Yu Yen is back in operation, I believe, Friday. But still, it didn't help consume hides. Also reports, Craig writes, a lot of reports from LC delays, letters of credit delays, and claims. It's claim season, too. As the price goes down, people tend to look at their hides a little more closely. UK cows, for example, is sold at 87 2 weeks ago. We're down to 85. Last week or 2 weeks ago, down to 85 Friday. In Arzignano, seems things a little bit better, but the tanners in Santa Croce, not so much, for a different product mix and a different kind of leather they make. In North America this week, prices were lower again. Steers were down between $1 and $2. The cow sector was off $1 to $3. Kills remain far below normal. Talk about supply and demand. The supply is smaller, but so is the demand. The kill is down over 6% compared to last year at the same time for the first, basically May's over for the first 5 months. And cattle population is now at its lowest in 63 years. So here we always said that if there's not enough hides, the price is going to go up. Well, now there's not enough hides and the prices go down. It's demand, demand, demand. Further into supply, the placements into feedlots were down 5% as of April 1st. So that means the cattle coming from the ranges into the feedlots to eventually move into the packing house are down 5%. This portends low kills for quite some time to come. Another news this week, NBP, one of the major packers, is now, as in June, taking their entire production from their Liberal and Dodge City plants into St. Joe to make a wet blue. So the entire cattle production of NBP, now that they've closed their California Brawley plant, will be only available in the wet blue from their St. Joe tannery. Probably one of the biggest tanners, or not the biggest tanner in the world, with 60,000 hides a week. Our forecasts are right about 85% of the time. What's that worth? How much could you have saved or made if you had our input coupled with what you know yourself? Big dollars now. Perilous times. If you're short, if you're long, should you buy now? Should you not buy now? Markets are moving several percentages a week, and what you could do could be extremely profitable or catastrophically unprofitable. You need all the information you can get from HydeNet or any other source of information. Information is key, and the cost of a subscription is minimal compared to the dollars involved. We always like to say that HydeNet doesn't cost, it pays. And in these perilous times with rapidly fluid price changes and trends and all this other stuff, you need HydeNet and you need all the information you can get. And you can check us out for free, HydeNet.com. Get a free trial. Don't listen to me. And if you don't like it, don't subscribe. But I think you will, and I think you ought to, because again, huge risk is going on and huge opportunities if you're on the right side. In Latin America this week, fresh prices in Brazil were steady, which they should have been going down because the whole structure is easing in Latin America. But tanners still paid the asking prices from the abattoirs and the slaughterhouses. They didn't get a reduction, and their costs are increasing. And like every place else, the wet blue split return to them has reduced, as well as the collagen and all this. So especially the splits in that case. So they're trying to get $2.05, $2 a square foot, and their buyers are laughing at them. But the tanners don't want to take any less because their costs are so high. So at the moment, it's an impasse there, and we think, well, read what we think, but we think something's going to happen in the next week or two to get the ball rolling again. At the point, I must say, that market is constipated, might be the best word. David Hulls writes, our editor down there, that the market is more than quiet. Argentina prices are still the same as last week, steady, but volume is low. And throughout South America, prices are generally steady. That's not going to last forever either. By the way, before I forget, you can now get a free trial to the HideNet World Report. You can read it delayed on FashionNet Asia, and you can read it in La Concheria in Italy, and you can read it on Leather International, and you can read it on CLIA. But you can read it hot off the press. Come get a free trial at HideNet.com. Just go to info at HideNet.com, and we'll get you on a list to get a free trial to our HideNet World Report. This week in leather, our Wednesday edition talked about in depth the roundtable discussion in Hong Kong, which was excellent. I mean, it's 6-8 weeks away already, but we had industry leaders from around the world discussing candidly some of their what they saw, what they think is going to happen. Tremendous. All this was reported in our This Week in Leather last Wednesday, and you can get copies of that by, again, sending a letter to email to info@HideNet.com and asking what you'd like. We also reported in This Week in Leather the Bangladesh exports, leather exports set a record. Chinese labor activism. We all know what happened with UN and Yen and the problems in the Guangzhou area of China this last week, which has settled down. There's a big story about Nike, one of the biggest shoe suppliers, footwear suppliers, shifting their production facilities in and out of China. We talk about the paradigm changes on manufacturing leather and footwear in China, which is very important. There's also quarterly results on famous brands like Adidas or Ferragamo or Ralph Lauren, etc. Also a report on Chinese car sales. Despite of all the pollution problems we read about in the newspapers, Beijing and walking around with a mask over their faces, car sales were up 13% in April. Unbelievable, the volume of automobiles being sold. And of course in China, about 40% has some leather content. That uses up a lot of hides, and still the market falls. We also talked in This Week in Leather how Kerry, the name now for some of the most prestigious brands of leather products, wants high traceability. So their customers, their suppliers, have another challenge ahead of them. Also, we talked about at this round table how substitutions are making an inroad into leather consumption, and a couple of the people from major brands said, well, when the price of leather gets too high, we just take a little portion of our product and design it out. We talk about design it out, which is a major thing, which is a trend going on in leather, no matter what the product is. Anyhow, as I said before, HideNet doesn't cost, it pays. Information is key to profits, and you will only benefit from getting a trial subscription and or subscribing to HideNet.com. That's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.